I just wanted to comment a little bit about an experiment we're doing with my Digital Media 1 class. They've been given the assignment to go for 24 hours without media. That means no computers, no radio, no television, no print magazines or books. Just try to live your life without consuming media of any type. And in fairness, I try to do the same things that I ask my students to do, especially if it's something difficult like that I haven't tried before. So I gave it a try, and on February 14th, Valentine's Day, I actually went for 24 hours without media. I might admit to you that I blew it early on. I started my day off early on, checking the email and even sending an email and reading on my Kindle because I was really in the middle of a book. I did this early in the morning and forgot that I had decided that Thursday was going to be my day. So what I decided to do was just draw a point in the sand, say after 7 o'clock, I'll go from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day and see how that worked. So technically, I didn't do one calendar day. I did a 24-hour period, and it worked out, but it wasn't really as easy as I thought it might be. I kind of pride myself on ability to control my media use, but it's habitual and you do it without thinking. So I made some notes throughout the day. One of the things was that worked out was that we had canceled classes because we were doing a 2-day in-service workshop thing with my department. So and it was nothing but the paper pads and markers, and there was really no media that was a part of the workshop either. So it worked out okay. Um, but a lot of times I'll want to check email on a mobile device or do something. If I start to feel a little sleepy or something, do something to wake myself up media-wise. So, but I was content to just have a notebook and doodle throughout the day to kind of substitute. I guess if drawing is a form of media, then so be it. But really, the rules that we set down were not to consume someone else's media. There were a number of students that were asked if they could paint or draw and do things like that where they're creating what would be considered media forms, and we decided that that was okay as long as they're not consuming someone else's. So. But I made some notes throughout the day just to kind of keep track of these media urges that I experience. So I'll kind of go over a few of those. But like I said, early in the morning, I blew it right off the bat, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I was going to do that today. So I said 7 o'clock and went from 7 o'clock to 7 a.m. the next morning. Um, so yeah, we were in our meeting. It started at 8 a.m. About 9:30, I'm feeling the urge to check email, and um, then about 10:30, someone popped in and said, "Hey, there's a." We were at a break, and there was a student tour, and I kind of remembered, oh yeah, on my calendar I was supposed to meet someone that day, but I wanted to check my electronic calendar to get the person's name and all that, but I couldn't do that because I left my device at home. But I'm glad they reminded me, or I would have totally missed it. So I went and did that, and then about 10 minutes after 11, I really wanted to go on the web just to probably as a distraction or just to wake myself up. Um, then 12:24, I made another note. I really wanted to check email again, and I was also kind of consumed with this idea that I had made a kind of a cool little video clip that I had showed in class, and since I was with my colleagues and department folks, I wanted to share that too, even like on my iPad or something. But since I left at home, I couldn't do that. But it was still kind of gnawing at my mind. Um, then during the workshop, they mentioned Daniel Pink's new book, and I had heard that he had a new book out, and because I've read a couple of his other older books, but I hadn't ever followed through on it, and I wanted to get on my Kindle and download that real quick, or at least to make a note, put it on my wish list that I should get that new Daniel Pink to sell his human book, but no luck because I didn't have a device, so I had to write it down just on paper. Then what else happened during the day? Um, it looks like I went a few hours without either remembering to write down these urges, or else I didn't have that much. But yeah, the book was about 1 p.m. and then 4:30. Get the afternoon's kind of getting long. It's getting late towards the end of the workshop, and I was ready to check email again. But again, I couldn't, so I just made a note. Then 5 o'clock, as we were wrapping up and leaving, jumped in the car to head home. I've got about an hour commute that I drive in, and normally at 5 I unwind, but I like to listen to different podcasts or the radio or something. And it was a pretty quiet drive both to and from work that day. I spent a fair amount of time meditating. I did that in the morning primarily, a little bit of that in the afternoon heading home. But I sang to myself quite a bit. I was just singing different songs. There's a one song that I want to sing in my networking class, so I kind of rehearsed that in my head too. But just kind of doing self karaoke, I guess, just singing out loud. I was even doing some kind of Wayne Brady style, um, making songs up. I was singing about how bored I was and how much I missed my media. It's like, I miss my media. It's really boring, driving down the car, so, stuff like that. Let's see. So I got home about 6:30. I got home and the family's there watching a DVD that I bought the kids for Valentine's Day that morning, and I couldn't sit down and enjoy it with them. I just had to go upstairs and do something else, and so I all of the homework that I grade is electronic. It's online, so I couldn't do any grading or really any school work. Really, all I did, I sat down and I read through a printed paper copy of my dissertation. I was thinking about that for a while. Then, about 8 o'clock, uh, my wife has a cake business, and I do a lot of the graphics and design work for these images that she puts on the cake, and I had to decline and tell her I'll have to do it tomorrow because I'm not using the computer today, and that's always hard because she likes to get a head start on that work. So I kind of put a strain on her with my non-media use. Let's see what else happened. It was getting kind of rough that evening. I was kind of running out of things to do, and 8 o'clock's too early to go to bed. So got the guitar out, and my son and I, Thomas and I, played guitars for a good half hour, 45 minutes together. And I'm sure he enjoyed that. So we made some music together. Then, around 8:30 or so, my wife comes to bed and turns the television on. I was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And that's pretty normal each evening as things wind down. But I went in the other room for a while, and then finally came to bed myself, and I just pulled a pillow over my head, and I wasn't all that interested in what was on anyway, so that was not difficult. But then 2 a.m. I woke up. Sometimes I do wake up in the middle of the night, and a lot of times I'll work on school work or dissertation or something like that. And but oh boy, here I am, 2 a.m. and everything I read is electronic these days. Um, so all I had was the printed copy of dissertation to refer back to. So I did that, and anyway, I realized that just about everything that I do is electronic, and then so I did that for an hour or so, went back to sleep, and then got back up and went, got ready for to the commute that next morning to go back to the second day of the workshop, and kind of went through the same thing again. So I was able to make it from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m., but like I said, I kind of started off with a stumble, but I picked up I wouldn't say that I experienced real strong uh, withdrawals from media, but it was definitely noticeable. It was definitely something that I have heightened awareness that I really, really depend on this stuff a lot. So that was my 24-hour media uh, fast, I guess you would call it.